life finder keeps Maev up. It was going to be a close thing.
And healing, what? Get out of, no! No!
Triple stun again. Big flanks coming out from the Blaze.
It's a death metal, though.
Death metal into the double, triple kill.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Nexus Gaming Series Season 7, Round Number 2, Division C East matchup between Do It Right and Winky Face. We will be starting tonight's matchup today on Battlefield of Eternity. First pick was, coin toss was won by Do It Right. They took first pick. So first ban was Infernal Shrines and Volskaya, and then the other bands were, Do It Right's bands were Cursed Hollow and Tomb of the Spider Queen. So Winky Face will be taking us to Battlefield of Eternity for our game number 1. I just needed to check all of my sound levels. I think I'm coming a little bit too loud here on my mic. Let's turn that down a bit. Alrighty then, we should be just about ready to go. Everyone is filtering in now. I just got to make sure everyone on the appropriate team. I'm pretty sure that is correct. Instead of 10. Okay, looks like we've got, sorry, things are just filtering in, of course. I'm trying to do two things at once. Always forget to keep talking. I think everyone is filtered into the lobby. I think we have everything set. Trying to figure out who to hat. Get my face back up on the screen for all of you because I'm sure that's what you want to see. We'll be getting ready to start up the match here in just a few. It is 7 o'clock now, so if we get this going right away, things will be looking good for me. I think I've got everything set up appropriately. This should be a pretty good matchup between the two. If you saw in the opening scene, the standings are currently as follows, just as a recap. Dirtan's Couch, number 1 with 5 points. Calculated Throw with 5 points. Diver Vision with 5 points. Winky Face with 3. Save the Murloc with 2. Do It Right with 2. Boogan Squad with 2. Nexus Cats with 1. Region Anomaly with 1. Lubu with 1. Bancho and Woodleague have not managed to get a point on the board. So this is the second match for Winky Face. So they do have the opportunity to just jump ahead in the standings here with the 2-0 domination. And I imagine that is going to be what they're going to be looking for. I'm just making sure everyone is aware. I'm ready to go in chat. The sooner we get to it, the better. As I do have a second matchup coming right away after this. The Baddest Dudes versus Bloodbath and Beyond D East matchup. That'll be happening at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. Let's give everybody a little bit to all right, we're actually getting right into the game. So let me hit that up on the draft screen. Hopefully everything oops in. For some reason the draft screen is not cooperating. We have a Vala and a Zeratul band. I don't know why my draft screen's not. There we go. Now we've got her. Now everyone can see what's going on. It might have just been on my end anyways. But yeah, so Zeratul and Vala are going to be the first ones banned out. Anubrak's going to follow that one up. Let's see what kind of stats we're getting from Anubrak there. 83% popularity with a 50% win rate. Powerful pick. Definitely something that we want to watch out for. That's why it's going to be removed. Jaina is going to be our first pick of the day. First pick, Jaina. Pretty strong opener if you're going to go for a DPS. She doesn't really have a lot of hard counters. And she enables a lot. But this map in particular, she's probably the weaker mage than a couple others like Chromie or Li Ming. But still a viable pick, especially if you're looking to team fight. We're going to get Tyrande and Rexxar. Now that's a little bit more standard on this map. And Tyrande definitely usually being a very high pick. And we're going to see a Varian in response. Let's pop over here and switch that to, let's see. %35 popularity, so much lower than Anubrak, but still a 50% win rate, which is still quite strong, I would say. Arthas going to be the next ban. I guess they're a little bit worried about Twin Blades Varian being the major factor here. So they're going to go right... Well, I mean, if they were worried about Twin Blades, they wouldn't ban the Arthas. But I guess they don't want the combination between the two. Or, you know, the ice synergy between Arthas and Jaina. So Garrosh going to be the banned out, just eliminating any of those kind of perceivable top-tier tank picks. But we've been seeing lots of Johanna, quite a bit more these days, as well as ETC. So that was definitely an option. We're going to see the Greymane be picked up. And I have a kitten chewing on my keyboard. Step it. Step it. Going. Goofball. Now he's attacking my hand because I was rubbing his head. Anyways, we get Tracer Abathur. Now, Abathur is a risky pick on this map. I think it can be a good pick, and if you can effectively stall out until the late game, I would say Abathur can be actually quite the potent choice. Tracer as well, with an Abathur hat, can be a pretty potent force and gives you a bit of race. We're going to see Brickhouse pick up the Thrall, who I love on this map and most maps, just generally speaking. He tends to be a pretty solid pick. So both drafts, I would definitely say Winky Face is a more standard. What you generally see on this map. Greymane with the big buffs is going to be a super good race tool. Rexar is going to be good on the point. Tyrande is very fantastic at it. Thrall is as well. And then you've got a lot of just really good engagement tools with Tyrande, Rexar, with Thrall, Earthquake, definitely enabling Greymane to get a lot more value out of that. So we're just going to get here right into game number 1. Let's see if the Abathur can pull it off. It's a scary prospect for level 1, especially like any type of fight taking is going to be pretty risky pre-10. Once we get past that 10 point, once we get past that point, it could be okay. They just need to not lose too hard in both experience and structures in the early game. So we're going to get right in here, guys. Let's pop up the screens. I'm going to start on the blue side. We have Do It Right. Looking for a win to stack up, I guess, against especially one of the higher tier teams perceived in this division, if not one of the top 3. And Do It Right looking to kind of prove themselves this season and see if they can climb up that very sketchy ladder. We have Tantrum on the Rhaegar, Lady Ronin playing the Jaina, Hannibal on the Abathur, Ronin playing the Varian, and Iceman on the Rhaegar. Sorry, I got a little confused. No, Iceman is on the Tracer. Okay. Tracer's so small that the doggo doesn't. It looked different. That threw me off. Anyways, on the other side, we have Winky Face. We've got in Veclad on the Tyrande, Brickhouse on the Thrall, Michaelin on the Greymane, Genzors playing the Johanna, and Full Mango on the Rexar. And we see already to start a very odd laning assignment, but one that I think they can definitely get away with. They've got good siege when the wave is pushed up on these structures, and they're going to go ahead and take a tower. Engagement coming out from Ronin. They do make the rotation up here to kind of stall this out, leaving Tracer Abathur in the bot lane. So we're going to see a standard 4-1 from Winky Face, and a kind of an odd 3-2 arrangement from Do It Right. Jane is actually going to be swapped out there, so we're going to see Tracer make his rotation to the top lane. See if we can apply a little bit of early game pressure. Tracer definitely is a scaling hero, just like Abathur is. So the amount of damage he's going to be able to apply onto any given target without taking too much in return is going to be on the low side. But Tracer does still have her level 1 heroic. It's not the heroic upgrade to the pulse bomb, but it is still attached to her kit nice and early. But as we can see, the pressure just coming out from Winky Face is a bit too much for Tracer to handle, and she face tanks a bunch of damage from Greymane Thrall. And the pressure is going to continue to be applied. Ronin actually getting slowed. Cocktail coming in. I'm going to bring up the talents for everyone. We do see Lion's Maw. I'm actually excited about this talent. I do think that this is going to be a hard win for Do It Right. This is just given how much pressures are being applied into the top lane and the fact that they have no real response to it, means that the late game is going to be going to feel like a long time coming for the side of Do It Right. But I have to say, this is one of the first times I've seen Lion's Maw picked up, and I honestly think it's the best talent on the tier. But that's just my personal opinion. I do think Overpower definitely has its place. I think it can be very good, especially in tanky builds, but Ever since the buffs, Lion's Maw is pretty strong. But here I am talking entirely about this, and we can see the top fort is actually being completely sieged down. And there's just flat out nothing they can do about it, but they do get the actually turn kill onto, just as I say that, of course, we see the pressure finally coming out onto Genzor's, but they trade out the kill, and unfortunately Tracer, who did take Untouchable and had a stack due to the kill on Genzor's, is going to lose that stack. I would say this is a ballsy choice, given just how much pressure she's going to be under for a good portion of this game. Untouchable is a crazy talent. Anyways, we see the initial race coming out from Winky Face, and given the fact that the rotation much faster and they're just naturally quicker race given the composition, they're going to get the halftime show nice and quick. Full Mango getting some pressure there from Tracer. That is one thing Tracer can do, but as we can see right now, like, Rexar just turns around, auto-attacks her, and he somewhat wins out the trade, even after eating a Pulse Round. And yeah, we're going to definitely see the first Immortal be going over to Winky Face, because the catch-up just wasn't there. Top fort already gone. Less than about a quarter health, maybe a little bit more. Immortal here for Winky Face. But the major problem I see here is that they don't really have great... I mean, they've got okay boss burn. I guess it's not that bad. Like, when they're all here and able to shoot at it. But as soon as that wall comes down, that's when things are going to get a little bit hairy. And Ronin's not even waiting for that. He's just going to walk out, just try to put as much damage onto the Immortal as possible. And I have to say, I do think Do It Right is actually managing a pretty good burn on this. There was no way they were going to burn it before it got through the wall, given the shield size on it and their respective damage. But Ronin is now stunned. He's actually in a pretty tight spot, and I don't think he's going to be able to get out of there. The heals from Rhaegar are just not enough at this stage in the game to really keep him alive, especially Lightning build. That doesn't really come on until you get Earth Shield at level 13. So again, a lot of really late game choices from Do It Right. And yeah, I 100% agree. I think Lion's Maw is a fantastic talent, but I think the problem really here is such a late game composition into such a good race comp is really, really difficult to do. If they keep their keeps alive, sorry about the camera work, my bad. I had to fight my cord away from a kitten. As long as the keeps are still up, they should be okay. They could be okay anyways, going into the late game. But just the fact that they could just siege almost unopposed in the top lane, and the bot lane with the Immortal wasn't that much worse. They did get a full fort out of it, plus well. And I think that Do It Right is very much on the back foot. Level and half, almost, experience difference here. And we're just going to see a 4-man siege up with this camp. Again, with these goat camps, they're able to just push these up. And the goat camps did get a small buff in the last patch, so they are doing significantly more damage than before. As Math of the Storm from the Tempest Storm gentleman, I can't remember who did it. And look at all that damage and pressure. We do see Varian go down. Here I am talking about camps, and while a pick team fight is going on in the bot lane, Varian again getting his mobility sort of abused by the stuns and slows and roots being applied by the Thrall Tyrande combination. I mean, heck, even the Jaina or Johanna for that matter. And they're still here. They're still in this bot lane. They still have 2 Khazra. The wave's gone, so this is going to be fast cleared. And they're going to quickly just rotate out. They have level 10s for a significant period of time. They're almost level 11. While Do It Right is sitting at about 8.5, 8 3/4, almost 9. And that means they literally cannot contest anything in the middle here of this map. They're just absolutely unable to do anything significant to stop this push on the boss. And an somewhat unfavorable positioning too as well, because they can't even attempt to really mount a defense here. This is going to be a full health Immortal. walking through either the bot or top lane. I'm suspecting it'll be top lane due to the fact that we did get a tower and a bit of the front wall. So top lane it is. And I don't really think Winky Face is going to bother waiting for, or splitting in this situation. It will allow Do It Right to potentially soak up 10 before the core call. But they're still going to be just shy of 10 prior to that. Well, I guess Abathur soak and clearing out this wave here is probably going to get them 10. So they'll have 10 on this defense. But they are definitely going to lose the front wall before they can really put any poke onto it. And this is a full Shield Immortal with, might I add, a Shaman camp in the background. You see Misha poking in, just trying to feel it out, see who they can get maybe an attachment. Twins are now in. Clone coming out on the Jaina. We see the stun coming in onto Ronin. Ring of Frost coming out, landing on basically Rexar and his bear. And the clone is down. Ronin is low. The Abathur hat might keep him alive, but this keep is certainly dead. And I don't think Winky Face is feeling too confident. I'm completely wrong. They don't care. They're looking for the end here. That's a root onto Thrall. No one's really putting any damage onto the core, though. And I think that that's probably going to slow this down. Never mind. The shields are gone. Greymane is there. And yeah, I don't think there's actually going to be... There wasn't any damage, but then I'm just like, wait a second. The shields are gone. This is going to be it. That's going to be game number 1. Winky Face taking the first game in 9 minutes and 22 seconds. I have to say, folks, that was a very fast Battlefield of Eternity match. And Do It Right. I think it was just the draft just essentially put them in a spot where they couldn't really contest any objectives. And this is the exact issues that I kind of had with the draft from the start, was that versus a race comp, a very powerful race comp like they were able to acquire, they just had no way to stall out the early game. If you're going to run an Abathur comp on that map, you have to make that 4-man something that can really turn on nice and early. And unfortunately, Varian, to some degree, Tracer, even Rhaegar for that matter, really take a while to scale up, and Abathur can't even help you in fights till 10. So it really just kind of comes down to the draft being a little bit too intense for them to deal with. And I think that that's more or less why we got such a quick result here on game number 1. So I'm going to put us to a break. And we're going to get the next match started up. I guess I'm going to have no problems getting ready for match number 2 if we see a repeat of game number 1. But I do expect Do It Right to reassess things and maybe come back with a little bit more strength. We'll see you then. Alrighty then, welcome back, my friends. We have game number two incoming. I apparently cannot speak today, and so let's pop it up and see which map we're going to. So, Do It Right with the loss decided to take first pick, and we have been moved to Dragonshire. And we'll be seeing how much better we can do here. I think we've got everybody on the right side. Just waiting for the rest of Winky Face to filter in. And we will be underway for game number 2. So, mighty fast and dominant game number 1 from Winky Face, probably the favored team for Division C East. I know that I picked them for my season predictions on the Nexus Edge, in which I am a panelist for. If you haven't checked that out, check us out on YouTube. We'll be also premiering each new episode on Twitch every week. So don't miss out. We've got another one we'll be recording here right quick. And it should be good and quite fun, with a lot of things changing up in the power rankings from week 1 to week 2. See if your team was managed to climb or not. Yeah, that's correct. I forgot. Okay, I think we've got everybody set up. And we should just be about ready to go to game number 2 here. Let's pop my face back on here for the next couple seconds. Let me just let everybody know I am ready. Alrighty, I got all the readies coming in from both teams here. Now, game number 2, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to try to lay off the big, long explanations and just get down to the facts. Be a little bit more up to date, try to bring it down. So we are going to be starting in now. Go. Alrighty, starting it back out again. Do It Right with first ban yet again. Looking to see maybe they can change things up. Now, this is a map where Abathur can be viable. Again, I do feel like it can still get snowballed early if you're not careful with late game comps, but it's definitely not the same as BOE, where, you know, no good early game means you literally can't win the objectives and do anything to stop the push. You can get away with Abathur on this map. We are going to see Zeratol banned out, and Rexar is going to be the next ban. Let's pop him up on the ticker here, as I think his numbers might be interesting to see. 60% win rate at 35% with a KDA of 7. I would say it definitely warrants a ban, but I won't say the same thing about Genji, who has not yet been played this season in NGS C East Division. So Johanna is being picked up first pick on the side of Do It Right. They're going to open up with a strong tank. Definitely doesn't suffer from any of the early game woes that Varian tends to. Just generally much more tanky. I mean, obviously, she's got a lot more survivability tools nice and early, where Varian does not. Jeez. Chen and ETC. So ETC is kind of the big dog that we've been seeing quite more frequently these days. In fact, now he's being prioritized over things like Anubrak, over things like Diablo. ETC has really risen high in the meta. And actually, let's bring up ETC stats. Alrighty, on the other side, we're going to see Deckard and Kael'thas. Kael'thas has got great wave clear. Deckard's got great control over the map. I do think the move speed has nerfed his ability a bit, but it's still a huge AoE slow and stun that he can cast on a pretty regular basis. So lots of crowd control coming in. Jaina was taken off the board, so we did get Kael'thas as a response. Imperious going to be the ban. I imagine that's just to limit some of the off-lane pressure that someone can provide. And Imperious, perhaps with the rework and his self-healing, is still a significant threat to Chen in lane and just not worth keeping around. But Tassadar, now that one's an odd one. Haven't seen that one come out quite frequently. But with the buffs to Vala, Tassadar pretty much rises and falls with the hyper carry damage style. And we're going to see Malfurion, Junkrat being the choices for Winky Face. Malfurion, much like Deckard, controls the rotations, but he does apply quite a bit of damage and a lot of general healing everywhere. And Tracer's going to go to the other side this time here. And Dahaka is going to be the final pick, as well as Vala. The Vala was picked up. Tassadar denied. Tracer being picked up. We've got our teams, folks. Game number 2 is incoming now. So the Tracer was just kind of traded out. I do think move speed does help Tracer's viability to some degree. I do think she still is a scaling hero, and so is Junkrat for that matter. So I don't know if we're going to see a ton of early game pressure this time from Winky Face. But they're not going to be applying... Junk is decent at camps if you group things up. Tracer isn't great at camps, but combined they can probably get it going. Siege is fantastic, though, on Junkrat. And we're going to start off the match back on the left side. In the blue, we have Do It Right. Johanna, played by... Lady Ronin playing Kael'thas. Ronin playing Johanna. Tantrum playing Deckard. Iceman on the Vala. And Hannibal playing Dahaka. And on the right side, looking for another 2-0 domination to catapult their way to the top of the standings, we have Winky Face and Veclad on the Malfurion Brickhouse playing Junkrat. Jenzer's on the ETC, Michaelin on the Tracer, and Full Mango on the Chen. Both Tracer and Kael'thas do have a bit of scaling, but I do think that they do tend to perform much better in the early game than their current counterparts. Wave clear and rotation is probably in their favor, but given the fact that Johanna was the first one in clearing the wave and the rest of the rotation was sort of slow, they definitely are at risk of getting slid by ETC. But they fixing up their rotation a little bit there. They are still clumped up a bit, but the power slide does not come in as there is no follow-up damage. And then Veclad takes actually quite a bit of damage from Vala and Kael'thas there. And they're just going to immediately rotate to the camps. And I think that's going to be one of the major advantages that Do It Right actually does have in the early game here. Their camping is significantly faster, especially if they rotate after they clear up this lane. Kael'thas in, but Brickhouse doing actually a really good job of making sure that they can't make that rotation right around the hedge here on the left side, just to slow down their ability to camp. But just like that, Tracer was on this basically at the same time Vala started, and they cleared that camp way faster. Like, it was just so much quicker. And we're gonna see 4-man focus here. No one grabbing the mid soak. Just trying to see if they can pressure this up, but the Junkrat Mine does bring the camp in, and that's something that Junkrat can very well do, and very well played by Brickhouse. We do see the engagement coming in from Michael and onto Kael'thas, but he gets a couple auto attacks from Vala and a living bomb to the face for his trouble. And Ronan still manages to sneak up here and grab 4 of those minions, so not the worst loss. Although I think they might have lost a few more in that standing area. Now it's actually Winky Face that have advantage on the Dragon Knight. Brickhouse and Michaelin just doing their best to poke out here. Vala a bit on an island. Tracer's going to go in, but the Pulse Bomb he does not have available quite yet. Let's bring up the talents for everyone. That mid lane, I don't know if it's still being soaked or not. I think so. They're not that far behind in experience. Let's check in on top lane. We have Chen and Dahaka dueling it out up here. And things are looking pretty much even with Chen with a slight advantage. And that's the thing about new Chen. He applies quite a bit of early game pressure that something like Dahaka, who tends to scale a bit, will struggle somewhat to deal with. Dueling, he just doesn't deal the damage he needs to deal with Chen. At least not right now. But as the build gets along, it gets a little bit better. But we got enhanced agility and one who collects, so I don't even know if he's planning on really fighting. You only go that build if your goal is to double soak. So that is perhaps the reason we're not seeing, and I think we've seen Dahaka actually in the mid lane several times now. So they're just going to 4-man this bot lane pretty much entirely. Both bruiser camps on each team's side are not really looked at. Winky Face kind of makes sense as they don't really have, they have to have all 3 of these heroes down here to apply as much pressure as possible. But despite the 4-man pressure in the bottom lane, and despite getting 2 towers, there's still a slight experience lead. But that engagement, Vala was caught out ahead of her tank, separated from the team, and not in any range of any healing. And the thing about Deckard is while he has significantly, while he has very good crowd control, he can't save a target that gets dove upon by a Tracer, which is kind of why this pick is working out for them. And Tracer just makes the rotation in the mid lane using that kill as a way to zone out the Dahaka. We see Ronan doing his best to delay this out, but he's not going to be in time, and that's going to be first Dragon Knight for Winky Face. So for a composition that I would generally consider as somewhat patient, as you do have 2 main scaling DPS, they still managed to get a good, or take advantage of a bit of mispositioning by the Vala and convert that into Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight's really not going to do a whole lot. Winky Face fully understands the power of the Dragon Knight isn't in the early game anyways. Kind of what leads credence to late game strategies on this map that really doesn't do a whole lot. But they do get the front wall down. He is going to grab the well, and he is going to put a significant amount of damage into this mid fort. So I would say, given the fact that this is a 5-minute and 45-second Dragon Knight, that's more than enough pressure to apply. He could probably even make a rotation to the bottom lane with 10 seconds left and almost no health on the Dragon Knight. I would say he got pretty much max value that you're going to get out of a Dragon Knight at that stage in the game in most situations. if you're snowballing super hard, you might be able to do it. If you had a lot more siege in the bottom lane, you might be able to get more. And Iceman just by the skin of his teeth dodging, and Genzer's engage underneath the tower. And we've already seen that the engagement's coming quick, but Deckard is now in an absolutely terrible spot. I don't think he's going to get out of this. Tracer's on him, and he does go down. Genzer's, though, is dodging Iceman, and that desperate attempt to get the kill onto ETC is actually going to end up in him in Vala losing their life. And that's going to be another kill. 3-0 so far for Winky Face. So there's your damage numbers for you. Chen is actually top of the board. He's been pressuring the heck out of that Dahaka. And that's the thing, a good Chen player can, and in the current meta, with the current buffs to Chen, is an absolute terror in that top lane. And I think just the old school heroes like Dahaka might not be what it takes to deal with it. I do respect the double soaking though, and again, he's not really fighting him head on 100% of the time, as he didn't go a build that was for it. So I do appreciate the strategy. It just means you don't really win top lane without a rotation. I was not talking about the mid fight, but nothing really happened. They just kind of traded cooldowns there. Really it was just Winky Face clearing lanes, getting soak, doing their best to stay ahead. We do see a Pyroblast coming out onto a full health Tracer. And yeah, I don't think he can blink it. It still does a significant amount of damage. Pulse Bomb going to go onto a giant camp.
There must always be a Dragon Knight, but will it be you?
But I will say that this bot lane pressure that Do It Right's been able to mount in the bot lane here is actually quite good, and they do manage to get a fort out of it, which I think is a pretty significant victory, given the fact that they've been a bit behind here in this early game. It's starting to ramp up, and we see 3 giants in the bot lane and a pickoff onto Genzers. He makes an unsafe rotation through this little passageway, and that's going to be a kill, and that's actually kind of going to give Do It Right the space they need perhaps to make a rotation to the top lane and kill a Chen. I mean, at this stage in the game, a top lane rotation is probably the right call, but it doesn't look like they're going to bother with that, actually. I mean, ganking might be a bit difficult with the heroes they have. So perhaps just moving lanes to the mid lane and putting siege on it is an okay call for them to do it. We're going to see Dahaka try to put pressure on the Chen, but nothing's going to happen. We're going to see a double power slide plus a mosh pit, but the Stay While and Listen comes out to keep Ronan alive. He's still very low on health, but he does manage to get out. Deckard moves up to see if he can cane Genzers to death, and it doesn't quite work out, but no one dies in that exchange. Just a lot of low health bars, but Vala didn't get the memo on the retreat, and unfortunately is going to go down here, and that's going to be a little bit tough. So we do see Chen and Dahaka having a bit more of a fight up here, but I think it looks like Dahaka might be falling behind, and that's going to be another shrine conversion for Winky Face. Nice stun onto Lady Ronin, but the Junkrat mine was a little late, so you couldn't get the displacement off of it. There was no follow-up route and no pulse palm available to secure that kill. Johanna did rotate to the bot lane. This is one saving grace for Do It Right. They do have significant control over the bot lane. Well, not entirely. They have a safe haven to retreat to. They don't have a well down here, though. But as long as they can continue to stall this out, this camp rotation, the first one onto one of these bruisers in the entire game, is actually a really good move by them. One thing that they don't have very good in the top lane is a lot of camp pressure. Chen's wave clear is decent, but it's not as good as that. And we see a wonderful pickoff coming out onto ETC there. All the Stale While and Listen setting it up, but Michaelin gets in, drops the Kael'thas. And now with the Chen rotation in, we're going to see Iceman and Tantrum get kind of zoned out here. But Dahaka's going to go bot. But Vala gets picked up by Michaelin yet again. And this Tracer has just been getting crazy amounts of value in this game. You see Junkrat still ahead in the damage. Not exactly the hardest thing to do with Junkrat is he's got great AoE attacks that you can just lob at the enemy team from a safe distance. As long as they're walking through a predictable line, you're probably going to be landing a significant amount of bombs onto them. But Tracer has been using all the advantages that Junkrat has been getting with well-placed grenades to press the issue. And I think Val is just playing a little bit too far forward in a lot of these situations, and the DPS in general are allowing themselves to get engaged upon really hard. We're going to see a 4-man rotation. We're going to see a stun come out onto Chen. Chen is, however, going to use Storm, Earth, and Fire. Still taking a lot of pressure from the Kael'thas, and he's actually going to die here with a 5th-man rotation to the top lane. But given the fact that they did that full commitment, Winkyface just says, hey, we'll just take the bot fort, and we're going to pressure top bottom keep. So we have to see a rotation come here. Tantrum is going to be a little bit late on the rotation. As soon as they see them off of vision in the top lane, we're going to see Winkyface completely disengage, and they're going to go right for the camps. This is an appropriate strategy here. Get a good wave of pressure into the bot lane to push up. Have Junkrat kind of do a bit of double soaking maybe. I wonder if he's going to make a rotation top. No, Chen's just going to revive and do that himself. We're going to see bot camp taken. We do see a 5-man rotation from Do It Right, though. They really want to get a kill here, and to do that, we drop Pyroblast onto Malfurion, who also uses Tranquility to keep alive. Eating a bit of damage from the Tracer. Michaelin doing his best to actually get in on top of Iceman, but Iceman was ready for him this time. Drops a Rain of Vengeance right on his head, and they get the kill onto Tracer. And Genswords might also be going down here. Yeah, there's really not much they can do about it. Rain of Vengeance coming back out, seeing if he can get either Malfurion or Junkrat in that exchange. This bottom camp is pushing up and kind of stalling out the wave from pushing into this lane. And we are going to have to see another bit of a rotation into the top lane to see if they can pick off Chen. Chen actually drops the 2 towers and in the top lane and just kind of nopes out, anticipating the rotation is incoming. But instead of making the full rotation, as they know Chen was probably going to run away anyways, they instead go for this camp. Now, Dahaka, I personally think, should have been grabbing that objective. Because they could get it could be snuck away from them if they're not careful. We'll see. I think Dahaka has his dig up. Dig. Does have his dig up. And that should allow him to get to the bottom lane and kind of secure that Dragon Knight if we get a 4-man rotation into the mid lane. Iceman taking some tower shots though, and Chen may choose to re-engage here. Geez, my camera work needs work. My camera needs work. And given all that mid lane pressure, we see Winkyface again just trying to apply siege, but Malfurion, of course, is overextended, and that's going to be another kill. And we see a mosh pit being sort of wasted there. That's 120-second cooldown. It will not be available. That camp did manage to get the top fort. Well, I mean, Do It Right got the top fort. The camp helped push and stalled out Chen in the lane. Kael'thas is going to make the rotation onto the bot, but we're going to see Chen actually come up here and try to apply some damage, but a good tongue from Dahaka. It's going to help keep him alive, and it looks like we're going to see Dahaka just dig out of danger. And is he in time? No, he's not. Just barely doesn't make it. It was almost a quick snipe, but that quick rotation from Winkyface making sure that they don't manage to get themselves a Dragonite. In fact, that would have been a very bad situation for Winkyface overall. A Dragonite against them with Malfurion down could have meant bot or mid fort and bot keep if it was played correctly. We do have a significant amount of siege on the side of Do It Right, so they can really kind of back up that Dragonite. And we're going to see the rotation onto Chen. And that's a great tongue, and I don't know if he's actually going to get out of there. Storm, Earth, and Fire keeps him alive for a little bit, but the stay a while and listen does lock him down. He's got to get the hell out of Dodge, as that was just a great opening onto it. Now, 2 heroics were used there. 3? Well, 3 technically, but it was 2 major, like, big, longer cooldowns. Stay a while and listen and Blessed Shield are not super long cooldowns. And now we're going to see something that you don't see a lot, which is a Bruiser Camp Siege in the top lane. This is the Death Bridge. If we get a good Mosh Pit flank, especially with Ronan getting knocked over the wall, but Chen actually is taking a ton of damage, and he does not have Storm, Earth, and Fire available for another 53 seconds. Dahaka manages to get it. Now, this distraction in the top lane is actually working out very well for Do It Right, and they are applying pressure to Winky Face, and this top keep might go down. Michaelin actually nopes out of the Pyroblast. Definitely what I would expect from a player of his caliber. He manages to get the E. The pressure, though, is on Chen. Top keep goes down. ETC is still stuck in the mid lane. And Iceman is eating... No! Oh no, he's gonna die! Oh, yeah, he does go down. So, what looked like a pretty top-tier brain strategy, I would say, from Do It Right there, which was just... go for the core. If ETC is gonna sit in the mid lane, why not? We're going to see later Ronan with no health actually give Gensers a target. He's going to go in after them, and actually that rotation might have got him picked off by Tracer, but he managed to stay alive. But later on, it's still in a bit of trouble. Gensers is on his butt, or on her butt, and on his butt. That's going to get clipped. And double channel, we are going to see Tracer rotate the top lane, but I mean, again, that keep is down. Do It Right is definitely taking a structure lead. Kills are evened out. I think damage is probably extremely comparable. Slight advantage to Junkrat, which is not all that surprised, but yeah, Vala comes in second. With Kael'Thas not far behind. But Chen is dealing a lot of damage. That is the one kind of major factor here that makes things in. Right now, with top lane dealt with, we see Winky Face kind of roaming as 5. But that means Dahaka is going to get a lot of... I mean, really, Do It Right doesn't have to do anything. They can just sit back, grab like a siege camp, even disengage off that if Winky Face goes aggressive. Now you see it. Junkrat has to respond to the top lane. His catapults are starting to stick up. And we're going to see the bot lane rotation. By 4 of them, I don't necessarily think that was needed. Dahaka is going to be posturing to channel this. Ronan is going to do his best to zone out the ETC. They're going to put pressure on him. We do get double stun. But it's actually Tracer that takes the most amount of damage in that exchange. And Pyroblast is still up. This is a very scary situation for Winky Faces. They did lose ETC, but Deathmosh does come out, and it keeps any peel from landing onto Vala. So 1-for-1 trade. We have the full channel. Chen is going to go in and just apply an exorbitant amount of damage onto Kael'Thas. And in the meantime, Ronan is being pressured down by Junkrat and Tracer. He does blink out of it, but it was not timed appropriately, so he does take the full damage, but he was at full health, so in the end, it just kind of nets out. And I think with those 2 kills, Do It Right is slowly losing the momentum, but top lane is still a problem. 2 catapults on the core. Dragon Knight or no, I mean, this bot lane is a problem. And that's going to be Dragon Knight. There's not even an attempt to delay. And I think that's a mistake. I think Dahaka and the other 2 just stay in the mid lane and stall out. I don't know. Hard to say. It's a hard call. Because with this camp in the bot lane and Johanna down for 15 seconds, this Dragon Knight is definitely going to get bot keep. If they get any kills off of this, which they're totally capable of doing with all heroics available, this could be end of game. Vala doing her absolute best to burn down this Dragonite. The Dragonite just says, I'm just going to fight you. Vala does step up, but Dahaka's the one that actually goes down. Took way too much damage. Was trying to zone out the rest of Winky Face to kind of give his team the space they needed to burn down the Dragonite. But the thing is that they did sacrifice 2 kills for this, and that might still be worthy of an end attempt here. There are no camps up. Dragonite's gone. Ronin doing his best to step up, but they don't have Vala, which is a major function of their damage, but a really good combo onto Michaelin, and he actually does live through it, and I don't think the damage actually went through. They're going to heal up and then come back in. This is getting really risky for Winky Face, and I think they realize it, and they're going to have to back out. So very effective defense by Do It Right. Despite losing 2 heroes on the defense, that could have gone a lot worse. I think the reason that he was not stutter stepping, and Kelthus has actually taken the cake when it comes down to the damage. Actually, let's bring up and that's Master of Flames. So all of those bombs, but here is the reason why you weren't seeing stutter stepping. Rancor. So this is kind of the argument about Vala that's been raging since the dawn of time, or at least that of Heroes of the Storm. And Farfight Quiver versus Rancor. Farfight Quiver gives you a safe poking distance with your auto attacks, while Rancor gives you rapid fire. But the downside to Rancor is that it is much harder to get maximum value out of your auto attacks while stutter stepping. So you kind of have to stand still. But I do agree that you can at least step back every few steps every once in a while, rather than kind of eating full damage from a Dragonite right to the face. So we're going to see a camp push in the top lane. 5-man. But we're going to see a double camp stack in the bot lane. 5-man. And I would say the double camp in the bot lane is a much bigger threat. But the difference here is Winky Face, because of the speed, is able to get back here for a rotation. Iceman gets a little bit of pressure from Tracer, but Tracer, fearing incoming damage like Pyroblast, used her E, but can't nope out of it now, and we see an absolute monster amount of damage done to Tracer. Ronin trying to get into the backline to put a little bit more pressure on, and this bot keep is going to go down. Chen is not fighting. He is looking to see if he can steal himself a Dragon Knight, but in the process, if they lose anyone on this fight, now he does just channels, which is good prep work in a way, but Jenzers is actually going to go down. We see the Blessed Shield coming out. We do have Death Mosh, which might just be the saving grace of Winky Face. But that kill onto Jenzers actually puts this into a scary situation. Now, Dragon Knight was taken by Chen, so we have to see Do It Right, all in on the score, or back to defend. And the problem is they can't get it back, and they're all so low. And we don't have endless yeah, the Dragon Knight's just gonna go to core. And I think this is gonna be a 1 game by Winky Face, because I just don't see, Michaelin's just gonna get in there and get the kill. Hannibal's gonna go down and Do It Right, unable to press in on the core despite the kill on ETC, are gonna lose this game due to a backdoor Dragon Knight by Chen. That's game. GG's. So Winky Face manages to pick up the 2-0. I think it's safe to say that that map was a heck of a lot closer than game 1, though. Do It Right definitely showing some spunk. I think they can walk away heads held high that game number 2 was a significantly more competitive game, and when playing on their form, They pose a significant threat to Winkyface. GG's, get them next time in the playoffs, folks. You will be probably fine. My bad. So those are the talents. Back onto the stats. And I'm going to look for a quick... I don't have time for an interview. So I'm going to let them know because I'm 3 minutes till... No, I'm not. I'm a half hour. I got plenty of time.
Good evening.
How's it going, my friend? I think I've got you set up here. No, I was on the wrong one. Alrighty. Just give me 2 seconds here. We need to celebrate our victors here. Winkyface. How's it feeling today?
Feeling really good. That was a good team win. Do It Right did a good job. They certainly gave us a lot of heartburn on that second map. That was a scary map.
Yeah, first map I think mostly had to do with the draft. They just didn't have anything to deal with the early game pressure provided by your race comp.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of put them into, they were in a scaling comp, they were hoping to stall out, and you guys just didn't give them the opportunity to do that kind of thing, starting from, point number 1, just taking down the top fort. And despite some significant resistance, it just didn't seem to matter. So, snowballing from that point out, you guys had a solid draft in game 1 into something that was a bit experimental, I would say, for sure. And that translated into 9 minutes and 22 seconds on Battlefield Eternity. I wonder if that's a record.
Well, I mean, it's almost. I wouldn't. All right, it might be a record, but the fact is, if you want to beat Abathur, you have to do it early. Yeah. So really, and even when you're winning as Abathur, you look like you're losing the whole game, and then it comes online and you win. So it's kind of one of those funny things where you basically you roll the dice and you see if you can make enough plays in the early game. If you do and you stay in it, and your Abathur team, you win. If you don't, you lose right away. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So that's nothing I would say to disparage how Do It Right played. I think it's just the nature of the Abathur dice.
Yeah. PSA announcement from Brickhouse. This is how you deal with Abathur. And I think you guys showed that actually quite well. And you used the fact that the map can snowball hard in the early game against them very well in that. And you didn't, like you said, you didn't let them get to the level 10 spike, the level 13, the level 16, where Abathur really does start to turn on and can be quite a scary proposition to run into. So, very well done on the draft side for you guys to kind of have what you needed to counter it and execute it very well. Game number 2 was a little bit different. I would say your guys' composition was definitely more geared toward your own scaling, as in kind of contrast between game number 1 and game number 2. So how did you guys feel going into that map with your draft versus theirs? Were you just really confident off the first win and weren't entirely certain if you were going to get enough response in game number 2, basically?
Well, I think when we looked at the setup, we looked at the situation and said this is going to be a time that we're going to need to scale. This map, you can drag out Dragonshire. Drag is in the name, right? And so you can drag out the game. So we looked at this and say, as long as we stay in it, we're going to scale harder, and they won't be able to put up with the volume of fire that we'll be able to put out later. And I think that turned out to be the case. It was definitely a slower roll, but you got to play all kinds of games. You got to play the short game. You got to play the medium game, you got to play the long game, and you got to play all phases of the game as well. So I think it comes down to patience and discipline, good communications, and everybody doing their job.
Yeah, an effective bot keep, basically core defense, despite losing 2 heroes off of it, was kind of what set you guys back. Yeah, so the core temp wasn't able to manage, and I mean, given your guys' composition, it's not a fast kill core composition. It's not really designed to do that, anyways. So, despite the fact that you got 2 kills off of it, the fact they traded 1 made it pretty hard for you to actually press on to the object, or to actually get an end game there. Despite I know you guys thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at those situations and you say, can I make a play?
Yeah.
And you try and you push a little bit. And then you see what happens, and then you got to make a decision as a team what you do.
Talking about decisions, I mean, I would say it was a spicy way to end that game. I mean, you guys elected to not defend with your full 5-man on that pretty nasty bot, double camp push that they had into the bot line, and things got even more hairy when ETC went down, but I think that triggered that decision making because Chen had already prepped up the shrines. ETC goes down, you go, all right, let's just stall this out. I'm gonna go grab the Dragon Knight. Is that kind of how comms are going, or how is the atmosphere into the last 30 seconds, minute of that game?
I mean, if you want to talk, Invecla, do you want to talk about the atmosphere? Or have you yacked enough?
Sure. In the last couple of minutes, we were I feel like I personally was at a loss of what to do, but then us as a team, we worked together. We had a call for our Chen to go back cap while we defended and just kept him there. So it was pretty solemn because I wasn't sure if we were going to make it out of it, but it was also pretty solid because we knew what we were trying to do as soon as we made that call. We just went to delay and then see if we could keep him there so that our Dragon Knight late game could end the game essentially alone.
Do you think them moving on to the core sooner, especially after the ETC kill, would have made things a little bit scarier for you guys? Or do you think that the amount of pressure that was put on by Junkrat and Tracer would just have been enough to defend it even in that situation?
Well, I'm never going to say that we weren't going to do great. So I think if they pushed in again, Junkrat with endless nades, with 20, every hit's getting stronger, and it's a constant stream of fire against the opposition. So unless you can box them out or secure a quick kill, you're going to keep eating that. Plus, if you push in hard and the wave is cleared, you're eating core shots as well. So I don't think they would have had. I think they did. Going in like that, you can't go in like that. So I think they did the right move by not pushing it harder.
Yeah, but of course running away wasn't really much of an option either with Junkrat, Tracer, Chen, though Chen wasn't available at that point. But that was kind of the thing too. When you're trying to step up through Junkrat damage, you also have to worry about the fact that had Chen stayed there and Tracer was there, they could just dive past onto those squishy targets that were eating all the Junkrat damage. So it was definitely a kind of a catch-22 situation. I think they did well getting the push up onto it, getting the kill on the ETC, but it just became a little bit hard to decide what to do at that point. And but thanks for a fantastic matchup, guys. At least game number 2 was probably tighter than you guys would like, but you did manage to find the calls that you needed to finish out the game, and you did a fantastic job of that in both games.
Thank you.
Anyways, before we go, any shout outs that you guys would like to announce here on stream?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to the team, Invecla for coming in this interview with me, Jenzors, Mango, and Michaelin. Thank you guys for playing, all your hard work. I know we had a hard practice Monday, and we really worked hard and went into some things and really put our heart and souls into it. And it was tense, but I tell you what, it pays off. So kudos to you, and it's a privilege playing with all of you.
So I actually had other questions. I usually follow up with other questions, so I'm going to kind of do a PS here in this situation. You guys probably just clinched number 1 spot in your division. Sorry, I made you do shout-outs before I was done questions.
That's okay. Shout-outs are still valid.
Absolutely. Going forward, what are you guys looking out for? Who do you think's the biggest, the biggest matches upcoming for you guys?
The next team that we play. every match is unique. Every team is unique. They have strengths. They have weaknesses. You have your own strengths and your own weaknesses, and you try to line it up so you're getting an advantage where they have a disadvantage. We don't look to any particular opponent. We look to the game that we have scheduled, we see how we stack up, and we execute, and we try to make more plays than the other guy. There's a lot of good competition in this division. We've played a lot of these teams, scrimmed a lot of these teams. We've taken games from them. They've taken games from us. So I'm confident we can be competitive, and I think we'll do a good job, but we don't look beyond one game.
Fair enough. Alrighty, well, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for coming on and having this interview. I appreciate it, and you guys have a good night.
You as well, and thank you for casting.
No problem.
Oh,
Have a good night.
Good night, man.
Bye-bye.
That's going to be it for me for now. Actually, in 20 minutes, we have a whole nother cast to get to. We have a Division D East matchup between the Baddest Dudes and Bloodbath and Beyond. If for no other reason you should watch this game, it should be for those two awesome team names clashing together here in this D East division. I'm sure it will be a spicy matchup and totally worth your time. Thanks for everyone that came in watching. If you haven't already, please hit the follow button. The more of those help support the stream. If you're feeling extra generous, of course, biddies and subscriptions definitely help me out. And you can catch me on my YouTube channel as well, which is where I put all my VODs, which will also be linked onto the Nexus Gaming series YouTube. But mine is LD Ziltoid. And yeah, subscribe and like there as well. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in another roughly about 20 minutes from now. I will find someone to host temporarily so that we are not just having a bunch of dead air here. So just give me 2 seconds while I figure out who I can host. Got Arrow of the Storm. You know what? I'm gonna do Nexus Gaming Series because we need more people on that channel. But do come back. Do come back, please.